Hello, mentors. Welcome to training for module number 1. First and foremost, I wanted to say thank you very much for taking this on and becoming a mentor. As many of you discussed your whys in the formal training, mentors in your life inspired you. So now you have the opportunity to really inspire young people and teens and be part of that experience for them. So thank you for taking this on. Every single week, the idea here is you'll be getting a video that's 15 minutes or shorter that will go over every single module. And I'll go over it step by step, but also ad-lib some of those things that might not be written in here. So to get started and to jump right in, how the formatting of this works is it'll always say the module number at the top, the title of it, and the module key will always be here. So in this key, we're just going to go over this once in module 1. But when you see the words ask and explain and mentor instructions, they all mean something different, and they're going to live here in the action section. If you come across ask, you literally say that out loud, or whatever those questions are under ask. You're asking the group something. Same thing with explain. You're saying that out loud, that context right here. Mentor instructions, those are things that you don't say out loud. They're actually meant for the mentor. Now, you can say some of the mentor instructions out loud if you so choose. Sometimes there are group instructions or activity instructions that you're going to have to say out loud, but just start to program yourself that when you see mentor instructions, it's really meant for you to read to yourself, and then you can share whatever you think is important. The first order of business here in this exercise really is mentor introduction. So module number 1 is unique in the sense that it's the only module where we take time and formally look at the rules and formally set them, and then also the mentor introduces themselves. And it also is a time for you to create yourself in front of the students, and you can do that however you want. So in your introduction, there's a couple good practices that you can follow. One is, say your name. I always go by Mr. and then either your last name or your first name. You can choose whatever you like. And then after that, tell a little bit about yourself, what you for your career, what you like to do, some of your hobbies, and then also why you became a mentor. And for that, you can harken back to your why of that you shared in the mentor training. And I think that's really important. So create yourself here, take a couple minutes to do that, and then go into talking about what's good with you. So in this, not only are you going to actually do this little exercise, but you're also going to explain what it is. So what's good with you is going to be a staple that's going to happen every single week, and it's going to be the very first thing that you do in every module of every week. And it really is just an icebreaker question that the mentor asks the entire group, and everybody in the group gets to participate. And you ask what's good with you, and let's say you have a group of 8 or 10 mentees all around you. You go around in that group, and between 10 and 30 seconds, they say something positive that happened to them either in their week or their day or just something they like in general. Now, from time to time, in the later grades, particularly middle school, you'll find that there are students that they come into the group and they're kind of shut down. They don't like to share. They don't want to talk to anybody. They're, in other words, moody. And that is totally fine. The idea of what's good with you is really just for every single student to say something positive, to start the group off on a good note, to start really a positive environment where they can leave whatever's going on in their life at the door, and you engage in a very different and fun and exciting way in the mentoring session. So an example of that would be if you have a student that really doesn't want to share or doesn't want to open up for whatever reason, you can ask questions like anything, like really anything. What happened one thing positive in the last week? What about today? Like what are just something that you actually like in general that makes you happy? So I would ask those questions, and in the event that you have a student that just doesn't open up no matter what you do or say, totally fine, not a problem. We're going to be engaging with them throughout the curriculum, so there'll be more opportunities. But the objective here really is an icebreaker question. It is not to pry, it is not to probe, it's not to get their life story and condensed at the beginning of every session. It's really just to, like I said, ice break and start off on a positive foot. Moving forward, the rules of sharing. So don't be surprised if students actually already know most of the rules of sharing. So the idea here really is in 10 minutes or less to ask questions about how to share and make certain that they get it. Most of the time, students are already going to know how to properly share, and that is being respectful of others, raising your hand, don't talking over other people, etc., because that's really important for classroom management with teachers. So they're going to be exposed to that already. Um, just make certain that they understand those rules of sharing, and then toward the farther down here with creating a safe space, this is where you have to create a little more context, because these are some of the program's rules of how to share, how to reshare, if you hear something inside the group. And then there's some rules here that you can state, that you need to state down at the bottom. The intention is just make certain that you think everybody gets it. That's really it. At the end of that, you have a break. Now, here's the thing with breaks. Breaks are in here to really break apart the curriculum, and the curriculum is actually designed to be 2 hours worth of content. It might not take you 2 hours to go through most of this. Could only take you an hour. Additionally, a lot of our school sites are not exactly mirrored images of each other. So some school sites, the program might start a little sooner or a little later. It might take you more time to get set up. You might have 2 hours to do this. You might have an hour to do this. But the idea here really is to structure in a break at the end of kind of one big chunk of the module, which is about an hour if you were to take your time through it. You can use the breaks or not, and you can use them at your discretion. A lot of school sites, what happens is it's policy where the students just raise their hand and they say, I need to go to the bathroom, and they go on a buddy system. So 2 of them leave and then they come back. If that works for your school site, great. And a lot of times, if you only have 1 hour to do this curriculum, you're not even going to have a bathroom break structured in there. So you can use this at your discretion. The next part of Module 1 is actually the content. So this is the first step into what we're going to be creating throughout this entire program for up to 36 weeks. It's called Discovering Your Passion and Creating Your Purpose. So this is a cornerstone. This is part of the foundation of this program. And really what this exercise is meant to do is to start the conversation and to start exploring, student by student, what exactly that they like to do in life, what lights them up, that makes them feel good, and then also start to create purpose. And what that means in this context is to start to create purpose is really the structure or the intention of how to do more of your passion. So these 2 words are most likely not going to be very familiar in this context to students. Throughout this piece of the module, there's a lot of Q&A and really creating that so a lot of them get it. How the format is when you go into an exercise is in red, you always have materials. And materials, they're always going to be somewhat simple, but it is to note that just be mindful of the materials needed sometimes going into this, and make each session, and make certain that you check your packet to make certain that you have some of those particular materials in there. For this one, there is a worksheet. A worksheet, by the way, is most likely always going to be a one pager. And in this case, it's going to look like this guy. It's going to be 3 circles, and it's going to be discovering your passion, create your purpose. And in those circles, there's going to be 3 questions, 1, 2, and 3. And that question, those questions that are around it, are really guiding questions for you to do with the students. So very straightforward. Number 1 here, question is careers interested in. When you ask that question out to the group, the idea is for them to list as many as they think are applicable to them. So how this exercise works is, going back to the instructions here, is distribute that worksheet to every student. Make certain that they have something to write with. In your packet, you're going to have pencils or pens or whatever might be in there for every single student to write on. And then instruct them not to actually write on this yet. You're going to do it as a group exercise together. So this is when you now, at the mentor, draw this on the board, and also write either by it or around it those guiding questions. And you're going to do this as an example first. So careers interested in. Put as many as you think are applicable. Some kids might be want to be police officers, and they say, oh, I might want to be an actor or a banker. Great, put it all in there. It's not a problem. Again, we're in the discovery phase. So you got to start exploring a lot of avenues. The next question is a little more ambiguous. What do you like to do? What are you interested in? So you're going to get a lot of answers here that are like, I like video games and I like sleeping. Okay, great. Well, what are activities or hobbies or in that vein, things that you like to do. So guide them in the sense where sleeping and eating and playing video games are not just the only things they like to do, because almost every single student is going to be like, oh yeah, I really like doing that. Okay, that's great. But what is something unique to you or particular to you? Some kids might like soccer. Great, put soccer in there. So you're going to have to really create this with them of what you're looking for to fill in this circle, not just these basic human like most people like to do. Same thing with this question at the bottom. This is a tricky question for some students. What do you think you are good at? A lot of answers you're going to get are those basic human functions. I like to sleep and eat. Okay, well, wonderful. But we're really looking for skills here. So if somebody says, oh, I think I'm good at talking with my friends. At this point, you as a mentor totally can write that down. And you actually need to act as somewhat of a Rosetta Stone to translate that into a possible skill. So we're really looking for skills here. So what does that mean? Well, communication. If somebody's good or likes to talk to their friends, that you're good at communicating. We'll put that down. That's something that you think you're good at. And so on and so forth. Again, soccer is soccer if somebody is more athletic. But the idea here is to really start to help them translate language of what they think the skills are into applicable skills that they actually might need as adults, which, by the way, in this program, we're going to be going over as methods of how to get to the desired future that you do want. So that's how to use those career circles. And throughout these instructions, there's just a lot of Q&A and also explanations of how to create passion and purpose with them. At the very end here, you have an opportunity to use examples. And this is an exercise that you're going to find in many of the modules. And it's called Successful People Overcoming. And what it is, it'll be a picture on a piece of paper. Usually we'll provide 2 of them in your mentor packet to you. And it'll be a small synopsis of who that celebrity or famous person is that's successful, where they came from, and who they are now. And we always try to pick people that had challenging childhoods or came from poverty and became really successful. And the idea is to not only read the text on these stories that we give you, but to start to create with them what skills do you think these adults needed in order to become successful. And then the idea is really to relate those skills to the skills that some of these students might need in order to fulfill their own futures. So it's really to find similes is why we're doing this. And for the first one, you're going to use this as an example, but moving forward, we're going to be talking about specific skills, and that's going to be an opportunity for you to engage on using examples of very successful and famous people and say, oh yeah, that person did it. Maybe that's something you can do as well. And that's a great way of using comparing and contrasting to make something a lot more real to a student. So that's why we put these in here. And again, they're going to be in your packet, these successful person stories. Last but not least, this is the end. At the very end, you got to make certain to collect their work. Don't let them take it because they're probably going to lose it and not bring it back. One of the things we're going to do in this program is actually to create a portfolio at the end of the program where all their work will kind of look like one big timeline of where they're at now, what they need, and where they want to go. So it's going to be a really cool project, but you do need to collect those papers from them, and please instruct them to put their names on it. Additionally, try to get them excited. There's some text here at the bottom to try to get them excited for next week so they can come back and be engaged and ready to go. So that's all I have for module number 1. Again, you'll get the same sort of format here every single week before you go out and mentor. Thank you again, guys, for taking this on and becoming mentors. I will talk to you in the next module. All right, bye-bye.